MicroStrategy just bought more Bitcoin, folks. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. We're going to break this down. This is Around the Blockchain. When I say break that down, I don't mean like I'm about to start break dancing, but if you want to break your way over to that like button, please go ahead and hit that because we got some fantastic guests today. We're talking about some awesome topics. We're going to go ahead and get right into it. Coming from a Vanta Black Room, it is Interpret Crypto. Are you coming in from the far side of the moon?
Hello, yes, I am. I need one of these Bitcoin signs or something behind me, but hello, thank you very much for having me again.
Okay, she's in an Antarctic tunnel, everybody. Also on today, we have JennaX with her favorite poster behind her. Jenna, how are you doing today? I'm sorry we're not talking XRP.
I'm fabulous today, DZ. Thanks so much for having me back on. The topics are pretty exciting, though, so I'm excited to get into it.
It's going to be great, and you might not recognize him. He just came from a fresh haircut. You can barely see the highlights. It is Miggy Crypto. And Miggy, how are you doing today? You ready to talk a little Michael Saylor?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me back on. I am definitely ready to go talking about Bitcoin, Michael Saylor, and all the craziness that's going on.
Wait, is that what I sound like, folks? Is that what I really sound like? Owen. All right, guys, I'm going to start talking like this now. We have Crypto Archie on now. Crypto Archie, first time on. Everybody, his link is in the description. We want everybody to get that Around the Blockchain love. Let's go make sure we sub to his channel. Crypto Archie, where are you at on subs? 14K, correct?
Just hit 12K. Hopefully
hit 12.
14K. Hopefully 14K by the end of this stream. That would be amazing. But yeah, look, I'm not here to self-promote or anything. I'm here to talk to you amazing people, and it's a true privilege to be on the show.
Well, I'm here to promote you. Yeah, check out Crypto Archie. Make sure you follow. Let's get it to 14K, at least by the end of June. That gives us a day or two. But let's get it right into KuCoin KYC. If you don't know what KYC means, it's not a KFC offshoot. It is Know Your Customer. So when you hear people say, yeah, they are KYC or non-KYC, it just depends on the amount of data they need to extract from their users. But my personal non-KYC exchange, my personal favorite, I use it more than anything as far as non-KYC exchanges go. KuCoin just announced they will no longer be a non-KYC exchange. They're going to require their customers or the users of the platform to submit some forms of personal identification to continue to use it. Let's see, 27 million users all use this platform, and this happens on July 15th. So a little over 2 weeks from now, you're going to have to make sure, if you have an account open it up and, make sure you do all the necessary moves there. But they did say this moves to align with global compliance norms, creating a safer trading environment and enhancing security of users' accounts. The CEO, Johnny Liu, I hope I'm saying that correctly, he had a quote here: "Crypto has gradually moved from a geek towards mass adoption, and KuCoin has strengthened our KYC system to comply with regulatory requirements worldwide." Now, Interpret Crypto, this does seem like a worldwide crackdown. It's just happened the last 30 days. We see Binance making a lot of moves, getting kicked out of a lot of countries. We've seen a lot of enforcement action on whether or not certain cryptos are securities, are they commodities. I want to ask you, is it a matter of time, though, before all non-centralized exchanges, or centralized exchanges rather, will it be a matter of time before they're all KYC? Will we have to submit this to every exchange eventually? What does the future look like when it comes to identification, necessary requirements?
I'm looking at this, and we've already seen Binance be accused of not enforcing KYC and AML correctly within the last couple of weeks. And we're looking at this now, and other exchanges are saying, we don't want to be in the firing line next. We're going to enforce this action now to make sure that we are completely clear from this. Now, we're looking at this, and KuCoin have done this. We've seen Bybit do this. I think Bybit started to enforce this on the 8th of May, I think it was. I'm expecting to see a lot of outflows from this exchange as a result of this. Now, we have seen, obviously, as I've just said, Binance have been accused of not enforcing it strictly enough. And we are seeing cryptocurrency exchanges being treated like traditional financial companies, essentially. And with that comes the obligation and the responsibility to provide, to get KYC and AML protocols in place. But when that happens in the cryptocurrency industry, it's not the same as the traditional financial system, because what we're seeing is we're handing over our personal information. And on the surface, that's the same as in the traditional financial industry. But behind the closed doors, we don't actually know what's going on because these companies are relatively new and they don't have that internal infrastructure that the traditional financial institutions have. So although on the surface, it looks like the cryptocurrency companies are turning into these traditional financial institutions, they may not actually be. So the regulators are pushing us all into this corner where we're just giving away this data and we're not actually sure what they're doing behind closed doors. Now, whether every other cryptocurrency exchange will get fearful of regulation and decide to do the same, I don't know yet. The thing is, we have this new cryptocurrency exchange, EDX, which is backed by Wall Street giants. And if the regulators can push all of the retail investors onto Wall Street giant-backed cryptocurrency exchanges, they will do so. So that's what's happening right now.
I didn't even think of that development. Yeah, the BlackRock entities, the Grayscale, the Citadel. Yeah, we don't want you using some random exchange overseas. You need to bring it abroad. Pretty good extra point there. I hadn't thought about that. We have a few super chats, so we're gonna start with Crypto Seth, +1 Crypto Gem Hunters and Crypto Archie. This should be a great show. Please hit that like button if you think it's a great show. Also, Crypto Seth, AI and gaming will be a huge narrative next bull run. I know Alex Becker certainly thinks so. And +1 Crypto Archie, he hasn't even spoken yet, but you know what? He's got 1 point, folks. Now, Jenna, obviously the American authorities and regulators, they don't want any exchange to have, zero KYC requirements here. And, there really isn't anything in America, at least American offices. But I want to ask you about self-custody wallets. So it's one thing to go after the exchanges. Will regulators ever go after the self-custody wallets abroad?
Oh God, I hope not, but it's kind of like what we're seeing with Ledger. They just offered a KYC, but you have to pay a monthly fee for it. But this defeats the whole purpose of decentralization and what we're into. I think they're absolutely going to try, but I think that there's going to be a huge backlash. And the problem is with these self-custody wallets, that's the whole point. That's why we have self-custody, is to not KYC. That should be our choice. It should be our choice how we spend our money, if we want to do peer-to-peer transactions, whatever, it should be our business to be able to unbank ourselves. And, but the reality is if people do want to KYC and we have these third parties coming in, it also opens up back doors, which could lead to security issues and hacks like we've also seen. But I wouldn't rule it out. We know that they could be subpoenaed to definitely get your information. So I think that they're going to try to KYC, but I don't think it'll be mandatory, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And Jenna, I do want to point out, I kind of led you astray here. It is allowed for spot trading, T-lock eyes. Thanks for the distinction. Yeah. I'm so used to, I need that leverage. So I didn't think about that distinction there. Now, Miggy, who do you use for non-KYC requirements? Any kind of exchanges? Do you just do DeFi, or is there any centralized exchanges you might use?
I was honestly, KuCoin was one of my first options. Them and a wallet called Abra. They had some non KYC options as well. But kind of like KuCoin, they added the KYC measure, but they made it like an additional option. So if I wanted to get involved with DeFi or anything like that, I would have to KYC. So for now, I'm not really doing any DeFi stuff. The closest thing I used to a centralized exchange is probably Coinbase Pro. But KuCoin was my go-to for KYC. And I did see, they're giving you the option. So depending on what you're doing, you don't have to KYC. It just depends on how involved you want to be with their exchange. So you'll still have the option to be able to do things without KYC. You just won't really be able to, go all out. So I think we'll eventually see more things like that where it'll be kind of like the premium package options where you get the free sign up, you can do limited things only. But if you really want to, hit the exchange harder, make bigger trades, do bigger stuff, then you'll have to KYC so these companies can have a little bit more of assurance that, hey, you're not some scammer or somebody that's going to end up, putting them in a situation where they'll be in danger and have to affect the entirety of everybody that's using them. For now, I'm not looking.
Yeah, it's nothing like the last cycle. It's like, oh, you don't have KYC? We're going to limit you to 10 Bitcoin withdrawals a day. You're like, whoa, okay. But now it's like, oh, you move more than $2? Give me a picture of your license. So yeah, it's definitely the industry is shifting here. Now, Crypto Archie, speaking of shifting, are the customers going to shift away from KuCoin because of this? Do you envision there's going to be any kind of exodus, or, it's just going to operate business as usual?
I'm not really expecting too much of a shift in terms of the actual customer base of KuCoin, but I think generally there should be enough lessons here to show that you shouldn't be storing your crypto in centralized exchanges. I mean, it happens time and time again. Either they're kind of suck ups to the SEC and they just comply with all the regulations, or they don't comply and they have kind of weird things going on behind the scenes, such as FTX, and everyone's fearful anyway. So personally, I would look to maybe buy it on KuCoin and move it over. Don't leave your crypto in KuCoin because it's just too risky. And I think this is a smart business decision from KuCoin. It's smart in terms of applying with the regulations and, you know, being a tier 1 exchange such as Coinbase. However, in terms of decentralization, it's not really a good move, in my opinion.
All right, I would agree with that. Well, we have another super chat from AAA Pool Services. I wish I could really give you a shout out, but I'm guessing every city in America has a pool service company by that name. But AAA Pool Services, +1 Crypto Archie and Jim Hunter, sending peace, joy, and blessings to all. Well, you know what? Everyone gets 1 point because he said blessings to all, everybody. All right, well, let's talk about the Azuki's release and what happened with that. And some are saying, hey, what is going on with this art? We actually have a picture, but a lot of critics are saying it's way, way, way too similar to their previous drop. Now, previous drop held 20 ETH for a very, very long time. I still think, roughly close to 20K value before the element drops there. But just pull it up one more time. I mean, you see subtle differences, but largely, you know, is not too much of a different drop there, at least compared to, say, Bored Apes and the Mutants there. But they, during a 15-minute mint, y'all, this is 15 minutes, they raised $38 million. They're called the Elementals, of course. And after the drop, after the mint, and after people saw the similarities, Azuki's dropped 44% in less than 24 hours. That is like the world's worst S-coin right there. And Azuki did later comment, "We know that we lost a piece of trust today, but nothing gets us more motivated to make things right." I added the exclamation point there at the end. All right, well, Interpret Crypto, 44% decline in 24 hours. That is a significant drop-off. Are there any lessons founders can learn from this experience?
Well, we're looking at this. I always say this. I am biased against NFTs. I don't understand why people invest in NFTs for the long term. I understand why people trade them. So I am biased against these before I get into the answer here. But we can see here that you can't just make a knockoff version of your original collection and expect them to be successful. They need to have unique selling points. They need to be something new to get the community excited. Now, I do understand why they've launched a project at this point in time. The market's looking pretty confident right now. The market's looking like it could move to the upside. We have just come out of that meme coin phase where lots of meme coins were popping off. So potentially it could be around time where we maybe do see some NFTs start to move and start to see some excitement back in that area of cryptocurrency. No one really knows when that's about to hit, but we have seen that before, and we probably will see another NFT craze again. So launching new collections is something probably a lot of NFT companies. But when we're looking at it, we can see key problems. They've not had a unique selling point and provided something different. They've essentially diluted the supply, and people that wanted to get into the original collection will look at this collection and think, why do I want to get in this? It's just a knockoff version of what I actually wanted. So that's, I don't think this is going to be a too successful of a launch here. And I think the other problem we have here is that the first launch was praised a lot because of the way they released them into the markets. And this time they've not followed any of that and gone completely different. And the launch wasn't a success at all. They've not taken any of the praise from the first launch and put it to the second.
No, I mean, and it just, the numbers don't lie right there. You know, we're talking about a huge decline. A couple more super chats. I live in Texas. Can I open an account on KuCoin? I believe so. And they do accept American phone numbers. That's how I verify my account there. And let's see the other super chat. Just some words of advice from Crypto Seth. If you're going to hold funds on exchange, at least spread the funds out. Don't leave all your eggs in one basket. Just think of FTX there. Now, Jenna, she brought up a good point about diluting the supply there, but part of the reason they want to do this, they wanted to increase the holders, and it was a steep price point. You know, maybe people were priced out of 10 ETH, you know, at one point 20 ETH. It's hard to get in, you know, when something costs 20 ETH. That's a steep membership price. So how should projects expand their offerings? Can you expand your offering without diluting your product?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely you can. And you can start by not copying and pasting your artwork when you just made $40 million. So I would definitely start there. But, brands right now, they should be focused on building, they should be focused on collaborating, expanding, diversifying different art styles. They can get into utility, which, some of them want to explore DeFi and everything. But given you have to be careful of regulation, everything like that. Go cross chain, get into fractionalized ownership, fractionalized and tokenizing assets right now. That is freaking huge. But there are so many different things they can do other than copy and paste some artwork. I mean, I don't even know what the utility is of this Azuki, if it's going to be they're getting some streetwear or whatever. But as a holder, I would be completely upset. Hopefully, they will come up with a new solution to the problem and airdrop to everybody, and they know they screwed up. So you have to build trust in your community, and that is one of the biggest things you can do.
I couldn't help but know some of the things you said, things that Frank DeGods has been doing lately. All right, well, Miggy Crypto, what should brands be focused on, during I don't want to say a bearish period like this, but, compared to 2 years ago, the sentiment is low, the volume is low, daily active wallets is low when it comes to NFTs. So during a bearish period, say a big exchange just collapsed last week. How do you, bring engagement? How do you bring awareness? What is the strategy during the depths of the bear?
I think first and foremost, without really knowing like what Azuki had promised or, the things that they laid out for the utility, first and foremost is fulfilling, those promises. All the things that you said that you were going to do those things to completion, or at least, do most of them. Because in the bear markets, that's where your opportunity is to fulfill those promises instead of having to, try to engage the public, trying to get them into your mint, get them to your Discord, have them follow your Twitter, have them figure out what your product's even about. It gives these projects some time to really actually talk with their community, kind of figure out, what direction they may need to go, if things need to change, kind of reassess what's happening and the overall picture. Maybe they're doing things that, hey, we might have some issues with, with SEC rulings or things that might come up in the future, legal wise. But I think first and foremost, fulfill those promises, do those things that you said you're going to do, or at least, do them to the extent that you can. Because during that bear market, that'll give people a little bit of confidence in your project, and they'll feel good about the money they spent on that NFT. And that way, if you do roll out another PFP project, granted, even if it looks the same, you've at least built some confidence up for your community because you've done some of the things that you've said and allowed them to, reap the benefits of what they participated in the first place. But, those are always important. And bear market's always a time to just really kind of take a step back and just look at everything and kind of see where you got to go next.
I think that's good advice. Focus on fulfillment. It worked for Amazon and they're pretty lucrative. All right, another super chat. It's just a Caspa shill. Jake, I see you out there. Caspa, do your own research. And we got Christian. Hey, fellow JPEG junkie. How goes it, Christian? Here's a little shout out for you. All right, now, Crypto Archie, last question on this. Could we pull up that picture one more time? You do have some eyeballs. What are your thoughts on the similarities here? They do have different utility. They haven't really done the best job explaining it, but should the utility be enough of a differentiation here where, hey, you should be happy?
I mean, this whole idea of these types of NFTs, for me, I'm not too bullish on. I think there's much more to NFTs than just these kind of JPEG images. I mean, obviously, this community, I'm not one here to say that you shouldn't invest in them. If you like them, if you can, relate to it, then that's absolutely fine to invest in it. But personally, I think NFT technology has been kind of undermined by a lot of these things. I think it's got so much use cases in gaming, so many use cases in things like tickets and rareables like that, but at the end of the day, if people like it, people like it. And I think the similarities are obvious. It's just a copy and pasted image, essentially, from what I'm seeing. And I'm no expert on these types of NFTs, but from my view, there's not too much, uniqueness in these. And that undermines the whole idea of NFTs. NFTs are supposed to have intrinsic value and be rare and be collectibles. They're not supposed to just be copied versions of previous iterations. So personally, I'm not a fan of it. It's not surprising that it dipped 40% or whatever it was. You would expect that when they do that and disappoint a lot of the community. And I think the Twitter response to this reflected the overall sentiment, to be honest. Just disappointment. And, it could have been so much more, but it just wasn't. So, yeah, I would say that people watching should maybe look into loads of different use cases with NFTs, because I think, when you talk to an average person about NFTs, they think images, they think JPEGs. But trust me, there's so much more to them than just this. And I think maybe this bull run, we'll see a little bit more of what NFTs can truly do.
Yeah, I'm actually wearing a VCon hat right now. I went to VCon and my NFT that I bought airdropped me a ticket. The ticket was an NFT, and they had like a refreshing every 3-second scanner. So yeah, I mean, we've been using it for ticketing already. Crypto Seth, he's going to end up winning the show if he's not careful here. He agrees. Some of the sentiment, technology is phenomenal, but the way it's being utilized is a shame. Although some argue the market determines the value, most people here, they're just here to make them shekels there. All right, well, let's move on. The final topic, save the best for last. And that's the I guess we call him the Bitcoin Giga Chad at this point. Michael Saylor just bought more Bitcoin to the tune of, I think, 337,000, if I'm not, yeah, $337 million. Thousands of thousands there. Looks like they bought 12,333 Bitcoin. That brings their average price down, actually, to 29K, because they got in around 28K and some change there. They now hold a casual, that's him holding a physical Bitcoin. They now hold 153,000 Bitcoin, folks. 153,000 Bitcoin. Total amount equates to about $4.5 billion. Let's see, we're roughly around 30K. We hit 69K. You're looking at a more than a 2x from here. So at all-time high, over $10 billion worth of Bitcoin, roughly 11 and a half. I had to do the math here. But this is their first profitable quarter, last quarter, because they have to file this every 3 months. There's a quarterly report. This is how we learn this. That was their first profitable quarter since 2020. And that was only for a tax benefit, a one-time tax benefit. In response to Saylor's tweet about them buying 12,000 Bitcoin, CZ, he had a remark. He just said, DCA works. I like that right there. All right, well, interpret. I mean, I know we talk about Michael Saylor on the show, at least when he's buying, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. My question to you is, will this guy ever stop? Is he going to be buying Bitcoin 10 years from now? Bitcoin is $250,000. Does he still buy?
I mean, for that answer, yes. If we were to look at the markets now, from 10 years ago, if you said, would MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor buy at 30,000, 50,000, 70,000? The answer has been yes. He will continue to buy as the markets go up and continue to dollar cost average in because he believes in this long term. Now, we've seen, and he's been pointing out a lot recently, that the regulators are removing Bitcoin from all of these lawsuits that they're creating, and they are pushing that cryptocurrencies do have problems with regulation, but Bitcoin is absolutely fine. So that is really giving him more reason to push the Bitcoin maximalist kind of ideology here. But it's really interesting what's happening right now, because we've seen that they've issued more shares for MicroStrategy and then used that money to push that into Bitcoin. So they're taking advantage of that, which is obvious, like an obvious thing to do, seemingly, for Michael Saylor, who is such a big fan of Bitcoin. An interesting remark that I've seen about MicroStrategy, which is slightly unrelated to this, is the fact that these Bitcoin ETFs could actually affect the future of MicroStrategy. And that is because with MicroStrategy, the stock actually follows the price of Bitcoin, not to the dollar, but with the same fluctuations, essentially. If Bitcoin goes up, MicroStrategy stock could follow it up pretty nicely as well. But with BlackRock and other companies filing for Bitcoin ETFs, it could create some competition for MicroStrategy as a stock. And if that were to happen, it could cause some problems in the longevity of that and the attraction to MicroStrategy as a stock to invest in rather than just buying Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, good point. And for those people, maybe on the fence, I don't know if I want to buy MicroStrategy. I would say Bitcoin mining stocks is also always a good hedge there if you want some that kind of correlated with Bitcoin's price there. Now, Jenna, what are your thoughts on that? Do you see him never selling? Bitcoin's $250,000. Will he ever try to time the market, take some profits? Is he going to forever diamond hand?
There is probably not one person in this crypto space that I could not relate to as much as Michael Saylor. He owns 153K more Bitcoin than I do. But I'm no rocket scientist, but I would think that he would want to take profit, especially when he has 2.2 billion in long-term debt. However, if they're not turning tons of profit and these banks that he owes money to keep on collapsing, then he's going to get huge discounts on this debt. So maybe like when Silvergate collapsed, he got a 22% discount on, the debt that he owed them. So maybe he's just going to keep waiting until like these dominoes fall. I don't know. I mean, I would definitely hope that they take some gains.
All right. Well, I know Seth again trying to fight for the most points here. He is all about the gains. How many people actually care about decentralization? Most are here to make money. Blockchain, Bitcoin, XRP have utility, but if you took away exponential returns, who's staying? I like to think I'd stay for a little bit. All right, Miggy. All right, so last cycle, we're kind of told a narrative. I don't know if you remember the narrative, but the narrative was, guys, all these corporations are going to start adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets. We're all starting to talk about inflation and, boom, then Tesla bought. We're like, oh my God, it is happening. It's finally happening. It was like the moment in The Office. Guys, it's happening. Well, the dominoes never fell. It never happened. Will it happen this time, Miggy?
Man, I think if they're following the strategy, that I think they are, accumulation is the name of the game. The whole point for anybody who's been around long enough with Bitcoin specifically is to use it, is to, maybe replace the US dollar as one of the main currencies around the world. And so profiting, cashing it out kind of puts you in a hole that in the future, if you're looking to spend Bitcoin, selling it now would be very detrimental. And it seems like to me that they're just going to keep building it up. Also, I mean, you have to add to the fact that the US government is the largest holder of Bitcoin. So for people who think that companies might not be so smart trying to have a holding in Bitcoin, I mean, just look at the government. They're not going to, let themselves go under. They're going to capitalize on their holdings and they're going to make sure that they profit one way or another. But again, the name of the game is accumulation. How much Bitcoin are you going to have when it matters, when stores accept it, when you can pay rent in it? Those are things that are going to be
Miggy, will corporations ever care?
I think so, because of the same fact, like I said, with the US government holding so much, I mean, it's just a smart play, because if the government's going to have it, they're going to have to utilize it in business. They're not just going to be able to sit on it and not use it. And the only way to unload it is to have corporations and companies actively participate, so that way they can start moving it around.
All right. I will say this, just to push back. I agree with all that, but U.S. government, as far as I know, have slightly over 200K. Now Microstrategy has 150K. They're only got about 33% more Bitcoin the U.S. government does have. All right. We have, I think, Crypto Billy, the Fonz of crypto, Tom Crown in the house. Hey, Tom, how are you going? When you think of Litecoin, think of Tom Crown. Episode highlight many of the reasons I've become a trader instead of a hodler. Hey, there's nothing wrong with the traders here. Make sure you check out Frankie Candles. We're going to go live to his channel after this show. And okay, I'll shut up now. I'll be here all day. All right, we'll see. Until next time, Seth. All right, well, last question on this show here. Crypto Archie, first time on the show, so welcome. You have the same haircut as my frenemy in 5th grade, Anthony, and I'm trying to not, focus on that right now. It's difficult. What are your thoughts on Michael Saylor? What are your thoughts on MicroStrategy? Is he the Bitcoin Giga Chad, or is he the ruse, the mark that's, going to be left holding the bag at the top as the smart people sell their Bitcoin and divest their portfolio there? What's Archie's thoughts?
Look, I've listened to him on many occasions, and he makes a lot of good points. I'm no Bitcoin maxi. My audience will know that. I'm actually a low cap gem hunter, but I really understand the Bitcoin maxi argument. And I think everyone should understand it, because at the end of the day, Bitcoin was the first crypto. It's definitely a commodity. Everyone knows that. There's no argument. There's no debate in any way, shape, or form. So in terms of regulations, in terms of decentralization, it wins the battle clean, easy. But at the same time, he should maybe look at buying some altcoins, but that's for another day. At the end of the day, I think Michael Saylor is a good guy, and anyone in crypto who believes in the libertarian nature of crypto and the decentralization ideology, they're good people at the end of the day, in my opinion. But I think the elephant in the room is the BlackRock situation. I think they are the ones that are going to bring in the most money. MicroStrategy is big, don't get me wrong, and they have been responsible for huge buys of crypto and Bitcoin, obviously, mainly, and wholly. But at the end of the day, BlackRock is way bigger, and the money that that's going to bring in, if it does pass, is going to be phenomenal. And MicroStrategy may have to increase their price target for Bitcoin this bull run if that does go ahead, in my opinion.
All right. And I just want to put a little clarity. I actually was trying to follow you on Twitter while you're talking. I don't think there's an underscore on your name. So if you're looking for Crypto Archie, make sure you go follow him. You got to go follow all the socials we have here. But we do have another super chat, Crypto Archie +1. But it is still not quite enough to take it from Interpret Crypto. She took it home. I don't know if that's a black hole behind her because she sucked in all the points there. But Interpret Crypto, feel free. You won the episode. Just leave us with some parting thoughts, please.
Thank you very much for having me. As always, don't forget to follow everybody on this stream. All the links are in the description below, I assume. And also give me a follow on Crypto Saving Experts YouTube channel as well. But follow everyone on this stream. It's been a good one.
All right, and that's all we got. And again, we're going to go raid Frankie. I don't know. What do we call it, Owen? You're the producer. All right. Right. He threw his hands up. He don't know. All right, we're going to go hang out with the Candle Mafia. It's going to be a fun time. And again, is that really what I sound like, folks? All right, that's all we got. Make sure you hit that like button. Until next time.